There you go. Last review for the week is going to be The General of Izril, The Wandering In, book number 6, written by Pirate Abba. And because it's the audiobook version and is out only, it's also read by Andrea Parsnow. It is 34 hours. It is 1 credit or $51.99 as of this recording. And this is the audiobook version only, so there is no ebook out at the same time. And it's really weird for me to have that happen. Usually it's the other way around when the ebook comes out first, or simultaneously. It's very rare that the audiobook is only out and the ebook has not been published, because authors make more money generally from their ebooks. Okay, here is the novel description, or the audiobook description, as it may be. Clowns, goblins, and Erin Solstice. Not all in the same place, mind you. Erin Solstice trusts a lot of people, even some lost Redfang survivors of Esthelm. But can she handle being friends with goblins when every hand is turned against her and the tribes are on a rampage? Liscor is in the path of the Goblin Lord's inexorable march north, and the Fangs and the fates of Rags, Garen Redfang, and Tremborag's goblin tribes are all tied to an impending war. Who will survive? Tom the Clown is facing demons in Rhir, while Zel Shivertail is facing Wall Lord Ilvriss in an uncertain future. Faced with the nod of the Necromancer's return, who can the two drakes turn to? Contains bonus content and exclusive account of the second Antinium War by famed writer Krsysl Wordsmith. Okay, that description does a fairly decent job of telling you the major arcs in the story. This is a review, again, of the 6th book in the Wandering series. Again, this is the audiobook version because nothing else is available at the time of this review. So it is what it is. So it's a little bit different this time around. I'm going to review not just the content, but also the narration, which is again done by Andrea Parsnow. On the issue of story content, if you've read the other 5 books in the series, you're going to like this one too. There's no question about that. It continues the slice of life serial nature of the series with multiple narrative story arcs for different characters set in a variety of locations. But all the characters have been previously introduced in the series, so there's no new characters. You get the Clown and the Chosen Heroes. You get the All-Seeing Emperor. You got Erin Solstice, Zel Shivertail, the Necromancer, Rags, and the Goblin Lord, and many more. But they're all characters you've seen before, so if you're already familiar with them. There's lots of character development and RPG progression for those folks, and this is always kind of the nature with this particular story. It always feels like a series of short stories to a degree. And what I mean by that is that because there are different perspectives and there are different arcs, and it kind of jumps around between different parts of this world, each one of those little arcs kind of feels like its own little tale, like its own little short story, and they're collected together. And that's not necessarily a bad thing. In this particular case, those short stories, kind of arcs, eventually tie together. And I think later in the series, folks have told me who read farther on the serial side of the story where it's available online, that they all tie together eventually. And I found that is the case as the story has progressed in the series. But it always still feels like, oh, these are just like mini arcs that you can enjoy as a serial nature. So that still continues on. And I've enjoyed most of them, but just like a serial, like a short story collection, each individual arc is kind of varies to how much you like it. For me, I enjoyed most of the arcs. I enjoyed most of the characters that the author introduced and develops, but I just can't like all of them. I don't like some of them. For me, the Clown one, and those Chosen Heroes, when they're outside of the war, especially in this book, I just didn't care for it. I didn't, and I can't help it. I don't like the Clown. I don't like that arc. I like elements of it. Like some of it was really cool. And maybe it's because the narrator does such a good job of making the Clown and his I want to say schizophrenic or multiple personality kind of voice in his head so creepy. That it just really rubbed me wrong, and just like, oh, okay, I kept listening to him like, okay, I'm gonna go through this. I love the narrator's voice. I'm just gonna push it, but she does such a good job of making those voices so creepy and annoying and grating, which is part of the arc. That I just couldn't like it, unfortunately. I should say I liked the other arcs and the other stories a little bit better than the other characters. But that's just me. That whole section with the Clown and the Chosen Ones and that part of the kingdom with his with his issues with his personality and the voice in his head. Just like, I don't know, it just didn't work for me. But that's like the only part I didn't like. And it has nothing to do with the narration. It was just a combination of like that voice sounding so creepy and so grating that it bugged me. But that also is like a plus for the narrative because she did such a great job. There you go. But again, if you like the series, if you like those other characters, you'll probably like this. It meant that most of the listeners who write reviews have said, "Oh, this is great. I love this series. I love how it keeps going." And me, I still liked it. I really did. Like the rest, like 90% of it, is just like it great on its own. It's just that last bit kind of took it down a notch for me, unfortunately. But still, a very good story even for me. On topic of narration, could not have been better. I give the narrator a 9 out of 10 easy. And I'm saying this as somebody who's tried to do narration for his own books and who's practicing now just as a side thing, just because I have the equipment for it. So I'm like, oh, I'll give narrating a try, like a lot of authors try to do it. And once I started doing it, I was like, oh man, this is tough. Like it's hard to get consistent voices and have a variety of voices and to emote. And I'm like, I found a lot of like interesting challenges for me to like work on, but at the same time, working on it makes me appreciate just how amazing this narrator is. And Andrea is just like top-notch performer. Like she really is. She has a plethora of voices. She does male voices, female voices, character voices. She's a huge range of tones and pieces, and she emotes so well. I was seriously jealous listening to this because I was like, man, I can't do this well. And she just has a wonderful capacity. So she adds such a great depth to an already like really entertaining and good story. So nothing but great words for the narrator's capability. So there you go. Overall, the audiobook is a great addition for me, and I think any fan of the series is going to enjoy it as well. So definitely go check it out. I give it a score of 7.8 out of 10. Nearly great. If it wasn't for that one arc with the clown, it would probably be great for me. But for me, it's still really good. I had a really good time listening to it. I keep saying reading, like that's how I normally consume this series. But I listened to it as an audiobook because it's out. And again, great amount of credit per read. 34 hours of entertainment for a credit. So a great value as far as I'm concerned. So 7.8 out of 10 for me. That's the General Izril, the Wandering Inn, book number 6, which I thought was really great.